Cool. Let me just make sure the browser is set up. Alright, yep, looks like we're live now, so I'm just gonna send the link everywhere to all the servers of like Wars of Liberty stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a different list, but mostly the same ones.
Yeah, so because I am not that familiar with...
Oh, so, what stuff do you know?
Yeah, I know a solid lot. I watched some of your streams, and I have here wiki or like wiki page for Wars of Liberty. So yeah, I'm pretty much ready.
Which start of Wars of Liberty interests you the most?
I've also seem very interesting. Like Serbia with that bonus damage is quite nice, and then I mean Russia, France, Bolivia. I have watched many games. Inca and yeah,
Oh, you like the Wars of Liberty Inca?
yeah,
Yeah, I think they are actually quite more powerful than the ones in DE because they have a really tough military compared to the DE version.
yeah,
And the economy is very automatic in terms of how powerful it is. Instead of having to build a bunch of concha houses, your villagers literally just trickle gold as they work.
yeah.
The one tool I do get to use here is on the actual Wars of Liberty multiplayer Discord. I do actually get to utilize the ping feature over there to let everyone know that we're direct,
Oh.
which is something that Jeff lets us use, thankfully.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So everybody sees that stream started.
Because it's actually those World Juanitos that are the biggest population of Wars of Liberty players, so it's really important that we get the message out to them first.
Oh yeah. So yeah. What do you think are potential nations that can come out in Wars of Liberty, not counting these that have already been announced?
Oh, like, ones that haven't been announced yet.
Yeah,
Well, that's kind of an interesting one because there's so many that have been announced that it really makes you sort of scratch your head in a sense of, which ones you would potentially think. Because I guess we could go over the list of ones that we know that are confirmed at some point. We know about Afghans, we know about Persians, we know about Uzbeks, we know about Saudis, we know about Oman, we know about Hijaz is another Arab civ. We've seen Armenians and Georgians. We've seen Sudan under the Mahdis, Morocco, Algeria. We've seen a bunch of ones from West Africa that I don't even remember. I think potentially Somalia.
yeah.
We got Thailand, Vietnam, Burmese, and multiple states in Indonesia. They're confirmed. We got Hawaiians and Rapa Nui.
Maori, Maori as well.
Maori have already been released. They're the only
Oh yeah,
Polynesian civ in the mod already.
yeah, I forgot. I think they might add Cossack Civ. Like
Hmm.
that was a heavy cavalry nation that was like something of a free state between Turkey or Ottomans, the Russian Empire, and Poland. There were quite good mercenaries, and it even exists today in many parts of Russia, Ukraine, and other parts of the world.
Yeah, that would actually kind of mess up the Russian civ because Cossacks like their main cav. So I think if they ended up doing that, what they might have to end up doing is basically giving Russia the standard European Hussar and then allowing them to ship Cossacks from the home city or something. So we're making them like a Zwev style unit, and probably they would be something available to Ottomans, to Poland, as well as some other European and nation state civs.
Yeah, I forgot that Russians have Cossacks in.
Yeah, but I think in
But oh,
theory it could work because we've already seen sort of civs like Germany and others have special home city shipments for yuan, so they would just have to readjust the numbers to make a Cossack shipment justifiable, probably just add a couple more in to make up for the lack of damage, or maybe they could even use the same number of yuans and using those cards to come up with that equation, basically.
yeah, that might be a nice idea. Also, like maybe I was thinking about this. Maybe they can put age up differently. So there were many Cossack hetmanates essentially. So they weren't a one country. They were multiple Cossacks living in different parts of the world and having different cultures. So maybe they could do like a USA federal age up. So you have to choose which Cossack tradition you are going to go with, like Siberian, Iranian Cossacks, Ukrainian, Siege, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I've heard of the Ukrainian Cossacks before. I've heard the Lithuanian ones, the Russian ones. So there's a good variety of them to work with.
Yeah, also they were like Iranian ones and Siberian, so like many options.
One thing they could do, which I think Napoleonic era was sort of in the direction of doing, was making the Cossack native settlement or making them into native warriors with their own texts and stuff. Because I remember, I think it was Poland and maybe Russia as well had shipments for Cossack horse archers and Cossack lancers from the home city, and they acted as native units without a uh, pop cap on them. But they did have this build limit, so you had to basically make them within the build limit, but they didn't add to your army's population, making them pretty spammable.
Oh yeah, I never played Napoleonic Wars, but I mean, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, it's basically like the Fav edition, but in a very prototype form.
Yeah, and is there any European civ that hasn't been added?
Switzerland. That was something that was highly talked about, the Swiss.
Yeah,
It's unsure if they're actually going to be made, though, because it was talked a lot earlier, but team members have sort of shifted around a bit, so they don't know if it's ever actually going to be completed. In general, if they are made, one thing that we know that they're going to be known for is they're going to actually have access to the banks and have a mercenary focus like the old Dutch Civ was. But now, in case that doesn't happen, it looks like the Portuguese are going to have somewhat of a functionality like that now. So Portugal's basically going to have Vitorias, as sort of like factories that can make resources, and then they'll have these. I think these saloons you can put on water, similar to the harbor ships of the or the free ports of the Maori, basically, where you put them on water and they grant you different mercenaries. So it seems like Portugal in the short term is going to be like a Dutch replacement. Then later on, they might make the Swiss more of that formal Dutch replacement with banks and more of land mercenaries.
Yeah, but I think they would be like halberdier focused civ,
Oh
like
yeah,
heavy infantry, mercenary type
yeah. I did
civ.
see on I think one of the earlier designs for Swiss, they did have the Lauslufer as a potential card for their pikemen to give them some more range and reach, basically.
Yeah, and also like they might be very nice civ to play.
Oh yeah,
Something of a Germany and Dutch, the and the Germany and the Dutch. When they would combine, maybe you would get a Swiss or something like that.
you ready to do your first casted Wars of Liberty game with me?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, it's loading right now. Hopefully, no out of syncs here. With these Wars of Liberty ones, it's a little bit more of a loose goose and when they might out of sync, so you kind of have to be on the lookout for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So it looks like here our map is going to be Jebel Musa. It actually does appear on the 5th edition under the name Tripolitania. It's the same functional map. Basically, you have the protruding little part that comes out into the water over here. You got the waters, so you can fish, you can do whales. You get this trade route down the center. But the big thing that affects the gameplay itself is both the map size as well as the choke points, where you have these cliffs here. It's an area you obviously can't walk through. The only way you're going to get over these cliffs is either walking around here or jumping inside of a zeppelin and flying over it, basically. Which that has its own risk
Yeah.
because you could just take your anti-aircraft guns, your fire planes, and shoot that thing out of the sky. So you have to be careful of that.
So which nations have we got here? I think one is Egypt.
Yep, Egypt, and they're allied to the Italians.
Italians. And on the other team we have
Japan, and I believe British here. So a lot of it's going to be like some vanilla civs fighting against Italy and Egypt, basically. It looks like.
yeah, so
Yeah. So do you sort of understand how the British were reworked in Wars of Liberty so far?
wait just a second, I have to
You have to what?
yeah, I do think I know their rework.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So
They are like politician marriages, I think, something like that.
yeah, they get around in bed quite a bit.
They have unique infantry now. They have red coats, they have green jacket, and like good cavalry, and also they are able to send generals from the town center.
Yeah, and all they really just do is boost up your unit stats, and then they can use the different abilities to beef up their combat ability. They get a trumpet, they get the ability to improve their movement speed and their HP. So, really good support units. Then, unfortunately, once they die, and you can't get them again. So you have to really take care of them.
Oh, so here British deck has two generals. Oh yeah, I forgot British can send factory in H3, so that's quite nice.
It's a really good advantage for them that they can get started with that right away.
Yeah, I mean turtling up, and that's pretty awesome.
But I will say, I'm a little disappointed there's no infinite shipments in this deck, because the British, unlike a lot of the other European civs, gets access to a lot of infinite unit shipments that can help you out if you're running low on resources. They can get infinite shipments on their heavy cav, their light, their scout cav, their maneuver cav, their anti-skirms, their skirms. So definitely when you're building your British decks, definitely incorporate some infinite unit shipments in there. Trust me, there's going to be a time and a place when you're going to want to have one in there. And also the lack of the Victoria Iron Cross or the Victoria Cross card here is a bit of a concern as well, because what it can do is, if you're not under immediate pressure, it lets you ship the card to yourself, and then it returns you two shipments, basically giving you a free shipment in the process. And you can
Oh,
stack up multiple unit shipments together, or potentially crates and resources, to build a pretty nasty combination.
yeah, but that can only be used when um, you aren't being pressured or attacked by any means.
Yeah, I like to have it as a back pocket option though, because I think especially on Jebel Musa, when the map's a little bit bigger and a little more defendable, you could definitely take advantage of something like that to get a bigger army against your enemy very easily.
Yeah, and also I don't fully realized what is fate for Italy.
Oh, Italy. You don't know much about Italy yet in the mod?
No, just about fate. What is fate and what is it used for?
Faith is actually gone. They kind of the Wars of Liberty team effectively turned the mod into an atheist mod by removing religion in every place that it was and replacing it with oil, basically. So this is the oil resource here, and it doesn't even come into play until you get into World War One age to help you build stuff like tanks, armored cars, planes, dreadnoughts. So it's only used in World War One age for various units and technologies. Earlier in the game, it's totally possible on some of the European maps I've found so far to find some treasures that actually have a bit of oil in them. But again, it's going to be utterly useless unless you get to the World War One age, or there's some feature in the future that lets somebody access a World War One unit early, which could totally happen. But for right now, it's like a super duper duper late game resource that doesn't affect standard Imperial Age gameplay.
Yeah, because I knew that Citadel or Italian Church exchanged coin for fate, and I didn't quite realize it
Oh
at the
yeah, that
time.
was in the old days when, you had different religions like Catholicism, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, and basically your villagers would
Orthodoxy.
gather faith from the church as if it's like berries. They'd pull out their little berry bush buckets and start gathering faith off the sides of the church like it was a type of fruit or something. It's kind of weird to watch, but
Yeah,
you
and
sort
what,
of understood what they were doing.
yeah, and what was it used for?
It was used to create priests, which priests in Wars of Liberty were very powerful because not only could they heal, but they could cast different religious abilities to boost either your units or debuff enemy units for a period of time. And then they could also condemn their enemies to flames, basically, to the underworld. They would do a long arm waving motion, and when it was over, that enemy would literally burn in flames and die instantly. So it could really be any unit. It could be heavy cav, artillery, tank, airplane. If the priest were to lock onto it and complete his condemnation using his religion, that thing would just blow up instantly and die.
Yeah, that is really interesting that you could
You can do it in
just burn your
Napoleonic era as well with the Italians and their I forget, one of their priests allows you to do it as well.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that architects are even more OP in Wars of Liberty is just insane.
Yeah, they're great at deploying stuff. They can literally pop out 5 wagons at the same time that can turn into a racks, a stable, or a foundry, or a safe house, or any building you need. So they're really good at like deploying buildings super quickly without getting your villagers involved and risking their lives, basically. But one thing that will
Yeah, and
risk your life, though, is these things, the fellas of Egypt. These are basically considered the same class as the Coyote Runner is in the 5th edition, and they get
yeah, I
multipliers against
know.
Villies.
Yeah, I know that they are like a pretty good raiding unit
But they
to
don't like
catch.
Samurai, though. The Samurai's gonna sweep him if he's... He needs to get him away from the Samurai, though. That's a fatal choice. Yeah, good.
No bad micro by Egypt. He gets one. Oh no, maybe because he got one villager, and now Japan has been able to come in and fight off
Yeah.
Egyptian mass,
He
and he
did...
lets escape two villagers.
Oh yeah, he did take out a good number of skirmishers, though. One thing to note is that the fella is considered to be scout unit, which means it's the same class as the hussar, so it actually can counter artillery and skirmishers in the proper numbers, obviously, considering its weaker stats.
Yeah, but I again, your screen is a few seconds faster before mine, so I didn't see that fellas took out those skirmishers. So yeah,
Yeah, biggest threat right now is that samurai there. Like, if they can wipe out that samurai... Oh no, the redcoats, though. Redcoats are another issue they're gonna have to worry about here. The problem with
yeah,
redcoats is they got stronger multipliers against cavalry basically than the standard musketeer does. Instead of like 3x against scout, it's 4x. And instead of the usual like 1.6 against assault, it's like 2.6 against assault. So these particular muskets, the redcoats, just do really good at fighting off mounted units very effectively.
mm-hmm.
This is very unfortunate
Yeah,
for Italy here, not watching their hunt over there and getting completely blindsided.
yeah. I mean, I realize that here herding is very, how can I say, needed. I think not many players here are learning hunts,
Yeah,
and that might cost them the game.
yeah,
So Italy is
that's the thing about Wars of Liberty is you don't have the same sort of consistent ELOs among players in Wars of Liberty. And in fact, some players make up for their lack of ELO in just knowing OP tactics to fight their enemies with, and knowing different special build ores. So you might see someone who might not do well in the 5th edition world, who could still rack up a lot of wins because they stick to one particular cancerous civ that wins them a lot of games.
yeah, and currently line infantry and Japanese skirmishers exchanging. Japan microing well, losing one skirmisher for 3 line infantry. That's solid, to say at least. Good trade.
Uh, Putting the villagers out in the open again, that's a really bad idea. I would not do that. That's really risky.
Uh,
Ended up losing one too, so I don't know what Italy's going to do here. Because I think the problem you get here is if you're going to be allied with Egypt, you need to be a very strong individual player because Egypt requires a lot of time and maneuverability to get their stuff figured out. Because Egypt is probably the hardest civ to play in Wars of Liberty, or at least the hardest to set up the way you want to, because they rely on a lot of wacky statistics, like doing the fastest fast industrial in the game and different things like that. that if they don't do that, they end up on the kind of the weaker side of things.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that Egypt is like a high skill ceiling, that they need very, very good players to, and it takes a lot of time to learn how to play them.
Yeah, I think their strongest build is probably the fast industrial, which Rommel might be trying to do. We can kind of confirm that by looking at the deck. Yeah, this is an FI deck. This is sort of the main meta of Egypt. Get to the industrial age as fast as you can, and have guard Mamluks as well as other Egyptian units, including heavy artillery here, be out in like 10, like 12, 15 minutes into the game. Well, a lot of your opponents might still be in the second age still.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was in this fight that happened earlier with my Bedouins, I would have tried to take out that British general because he wasn't microed very, very well, and I think those Bedouins could have sniped him.
Yeah, because they do get a bit of a multiplier against all mounted units, dealing about 10 damage
Yeah,
per hit against them. And since it's actually an assault cavalry, that means the general would actually take full 10 damage and wouldn't have any pierce armor to protect against that.
yeah, I would try to snipe that general out because he is increasing red coat. Yeah, he is improving red coat, I think HP and damage, and taking him out is very, very important.
Yeah, and these are the Ascaris trying to defend here. They're a little bit different than European skirms because they start out with more initial multipliers against the heavy infantry class than standard skirms. They get about 2.5 instead of 2, making them really good for taking out redcoats with. And it looks like Rommel
Yeah,
has made it to the industrial age, so we are going to see the FI process initiate now. Starting out with the Nafatoon Grenadiers here. About 8
yeah,
Nafatoons. And here's the
but
Felahin.
still, I don't think Bedouins are the best option here because Japan has a lot of skirmishers, and I mean I personally wouldn't like to exchange like that.
Yeah. The problem you
So
run into, though, is the fact that the Bedouins are actually your houses is Egypt, so you need them to actually get more population. So if you can put in some shots while you have them, Rommel's just trying to make the full use of his resources while he has them.
yeah, and
Here's the
yeah, I
Mamelukes.
mean here,
Now, this
yeah,
is
and currently
where, yeah.
helping Egypt helping out his teammate pushing out Japanese troops, and yeah, it seems mm, that FI that you talked about is very, very solid, and these Mamelukes are very, very good troops.
37 attack, 1.5k HP, 30% hack armor. This is exactly what you need against a heavy infantry comp. They can fight skirms, they can fight muskets. And then you have bombardier units in the back with force splash. They'll be really good against infantry. And then as soon as Rommel gets the XP, he can send 2 mountain guns to get 2 heavy cannons, African heavy cannons, to support them. And that might be enough to win all by himself. He might not need Italy at that point. Italy could probably just sling him some resources to get some library upgrades so he can maybe train some more cheap units to help out his shipment units.
Yeah, I mean that is thing he should probably do. And currently, both red team, both Japan and British player are currently in H2, and Rommel is in H4 and Italian player is in H3, and that's I think why blue team currently has an advantage because H4 shipments are much better than H2 shipments, and even though red team or British and Japanese can have more army, it is easier for Rommel and Hishi 77 and Rommel to rebuild than for British and Japanese player. I just think H4 shipments are a bit too much.
Yeah, that's sort of what you do as Egypt. As soon as you hit that industrial age, you need to start gutting your opponents instantly, because if you give them too much time, they might get to industrial age as well. They might get to capital age and find some way to have more footing against you. But here it looks like basically his opponents are just getting into age 3. They're probably going to barely have 1 or 2 upgrades to get on more even footing with, and they're going to be dealing with heavy cav, heavy cannons. That's the sore point of Egypt is if you can get to that industrial age quickly, it's one of the biggest punishes to the enemy team. But if they can't get there, then it becomes a game of your utter survival where you're using your caravans to run around the map and get away from sudden death, basically. But if you're not smart enough to put Egypt in that situation and keep them on the run, you're going to let them have an easy path to industrial age, and it's likely going to be the end of you as well. And just so you're aware,
Yeah,
too, this palace caravan is actually a mobile fort, so it can actually receive shipments. So he could send his heavy cannons right to the front lines just using this palace caravan.
yeah, I have realized that when he shipped 8 those I forgot when he shipped units. I realized that, and also we currently see that Italy on being on 40 villagers and no one going for the water. That was the thing I talked with you about when you were doing a stream also, and Wars of Liberty. Why no one is building any boats and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, for Egypt, going for fishing is really cancerous to deal with because it's super annoying. You have to build this thing called the harbor ship. It's basically this little wooden platform with camels on top of it, and you have to sail it around to the shore to actually build ships with it. And depend on the terrain of the shoreline, you might not even be able to train ships out of it, so it's kind of a big floating dud on the water that can't do anything,
Oh,
depend on the terrain.
yeah, that's bad, but maybe Egypt doesn't need to. Maybe Italy, why not? British player, why not? Somebody else.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of them could have picked up schooners at this point and gone started on that because you do have some decent water options on this map for sure. Or Japan could have done it because of their nice double fishing boat shipments they get access to.
That is pretty nice. And also now we see Grenadiers for Egypt that Palace Wagon doing nice job, and Masked Riders, Bedouins, Mamelukes just chipping away and forcing Ascari and forcing not Ascari but Japanese skirmishers to back off, and yeah, I think it's GG's at this point.
And here comes those 2 heavy cannons, the mountain guns, those heavy cans with the leopard skin movement tools. That's going to snipe the TC. Well, he's going to go for the Golden Pavilion and the TC. And I think at this point it's a pretty easy win for this team at this point. There's not much they can do to defend now.
Yeah, I think the problem in this game for Red Team or British and Japanese was they tried to put a bit pressure on Italy, and they managed to do it quite well. But the problem was that they left Egypt to themselves, left them unnoticed, and Egypt just went FI, not caring about anything else, and then got their military shipments in Mamelukes, Musket Riders, and everything else, and one thing led to another, and I think that's the reason why
Yeah,
Red Team lost.
I think in a sense, Rommel was effectively able to lay out a mousetrap for his opponents. He put the cheese out on the map. Italy was probably that piece of Parmesan cheese, and they took the nibble on it, eating the cheese. And while they were eating the cheese, the big FI, Egypt, rang down and snapped their necks, basically, when they were trying to eat the cheese at that point, not realizing what the real danger was in front of them all along, when they really should have been on top of that, knowing what Egypt is capable of with its FI strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that FI is just amazing because of these shipments, like 24 spearmen, 5 Mamelukes, 2 mountain guns, and yeah.
Yeah, like look at these kills here, 147, whereas the other players, Japan got a good number of kills, but only 42 from British. 100 more kills just doing that whole build is Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole point of the build, and they did
Yeah,
very,
and
very nice.
another thing you get is Egypt as well, which helps power spike your FI shipment times, is you basically get a lot more XP by making a bunch of Bedouins since they have a good build bounty, and then you can get your shipments a little bit quicker that way, usually.
Yeah, and also the Italy had an insane eco because of those 4 villagers that they built at the time, so they had a pretty good eco. And I mean, British player could have built a bit more army and try to help out his teammates a bit more, but yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of
pretty
a moot
good.
point against Egypt because I feel like everyone who's a Wars of Liberty player needs to know about the Egyptian FI before they face Egypt, and they know they need to make Egypt targeting their number one priority. If you're not going to target Egypt, you're asking for certain death because the FI is a really brutal strategy, which very few players know how to micro their way out of, which usually involves a lot of maneuver units. Because I think in this case, if say British, instead of doing the Household Blues, decide to spam out Scots Greys, a Dragoon unit that counters both the Assault Mamluk and the mound guns and the artillery, could have maybe did a bit better there. But who knows at this point, because there were skirmishers mixed in, but then you got, Japan helping you with that. So I mean, it's split second decisions like that decides games for you.
Yeah, so we here have Netherlands or the Dutch with who is other teammate.
Let me see. So we got the Dutch. Sogtalak is the Chileans.
I didn't hear you.
Sogtalak is the Chilean civilization.
Oh, Chile.
Yeah, Chileans. And Alucard is the Austro-Hungarians, or just the Austrians, depending on what you want to call them. And Kaiser is Italy himself, so we got another Italy in this game, but under a different player. I know Kaiser pretty well, and he's really big into special build orders. So I think he's going to put on a pretty spectacular show for us with Italy and show us something we might not already know with them yet. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And Alucard is arguably one of the MVP players of the Wars of Liberty community in terms of performance. So I think right away Kaiser and Alucard together are going to do very strong against Sog and Chakam Khan for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Italy having that. I mean, what can I say here? Dutch has, I think, 3 types of villagers. They can micro pretty well. If Dutch player can micro pretty well, then and everything can be possible. But I mean, Dutch has nice eco, as I know already. So yeah, and also Chile having those German, Croatian, and who is it else? Immigrants, other immigrants.
They get the Arabs, the Croats, and the Germans.
Yeah, Arabs, I forgot about them. Yeah, and I mean, you do have to micro pretty well to play the Dutch. Again, it has high skill ceiling. Chile is a pretty nice save with their rotos and stuff like that. Also, their heavy infantry is very good at hand combat. Also, they have solid ranged cavalry that I think has bonus against native warriors.
The
It
Frontier
has
Cav.
bonus, yeah, assault units and artillery. They have cheap grenadiers. Yeah, and I mean, they are a pretty solid civ.
Pretty interesting. So we actually see acquisition of Costa Nostra in here. This is a pretty interesting card we don't always see in Italy decks. Basically, it turns all your architects into mafiosos that you can use to access yourself to a good number of them pretty quickly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, did you know about the mafioso stuff in the Wars of Liberty Italy Civ?
No, I didn't. I wanted to ask you about that now.
Oh, okay. So, for Italy, they have an emphasis on espionage. They do have the normal spy as well as the assassin card to really beef up their stats. But also with the safe house, they can train the Camarista, which later upgrades into the Mafioso. And basically, the Mafioso feature for Italy is exactly like the Godfather, and in fact, they have multiple references to the Godfather with the feature, like the horse's head, the logo of the Godfather, one of the movies. So it's very Godfather influence in the way it works. And I guess sort of to explain the difference between spy and mafioso is spy can do multiple things in Wars of Liberty. He can throw knives at other spy units to instantly kill them. He can deploy bombs next to buildings to do sort of a petard level siege attack. He can lay down landmines and instantly kill units. He can attack and stealth with either a knife and later a handgun. Whereas the Camarista or the Mafioso has a very different arsenal. Initially, he just engages in, I think, basic melee with the knife at the start. But later on, he can use martial arts to wipe out units easier, and then he's given a shotgun. and then he's given a Tommy gun, so an actual machine gun that fires in rapid fire succession. And eventually, you can research the violin case to basically give the mafioso the ability to use his Tommy gun while in stealth. So you might not see your enemy, but they're shooting rapid fire bullets into him and spraying them and peppering them with them.
Yeah, so mafiosos are like very, very solid infantry, it seems, and they are like Godfather just with a permission to kill.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not careful, you don't have your Explorer, and you have a bunch of vulnerable units, it could be bada bing bada boom, and they're all going to be wiped out, basically. Pretty instantly.
Yeah,
You could basically say
I
Alibaderci to that army, they're going to be done.
yeah, I think with that stealth ability that you talked about, they can be pretty cancerous, fast industrial or any. They can be pretty. How can I say that? Pain in the ass. They can be pretty cancerous to play. I think because stealth ability, I know in D when Jaguar Prowl Knights use that ability, it's just too OP. And if they can fire Tommy guns on top of that, I'm gonna say they are a pretty good unit.
Well, you'd be surprised to know that their base stats are actually pretty small, so you do need to get a good number of them to make it work against normal units. But that being said, they have really high multipliers against mercenaries, heroes, and native warriors. So if you're dealing with like a native civ like Bolivia, that's their worst nightmare. And then also, you can get the irrefusable offer technology with the horse's head, basically, that actually gives them a slight multiplier against cavalry units, so they actually can act as pretty good musketeer style units at range as well if you let them.
Yeah, and just to be sure, is it for the Dutch that normal settlers gather food the fastest?
Uh,
Then African slaves gather coin and Javanese labor gather wood.
yeah, you sort of got that sort of right. So, the settlers gather berries and from mills 10% faster. The Javanese Indonesian laborers work 10% better on trees. And then the slaves work 10% faster on plantations and mines. But I think in terms of hunting, the settler, all three villagers gather at pretty much the same rate as a normal vill.
Yeah, but that I didn't know that they gather this. But why didn't Dutch player put all his uh, African slaves on mines and just switched up a bit?
Yeah, I don't know that either. That's a really great question. Looks like though, looks like Alucard's pressuring him pretty hard with Hussars here. He's gonna lose so many villagers off of this engagement. It's not even funny.
Oh, yeah.
Some did do
I
you?
believe that.
Oh, I was gonna ask you. Do you know about the Civ bonuses of Austro-Hungarians?
No, I don't.
Oh, so they're sort of like the old school Germany. Basically, instead of free Uhlans, all their cards come with free Hussars.
Oh, so yeah, and I just wanted to say that I don't think this is the Wars of Liberty is that much about how you play. I think it is more about what build you are doing
You're a
and what
hundred
is your.
percent right about that. 100%. You already understand that very quickly. Just watching it.
Yeah, because I know that when we talk about the we talk about micro, about economy, not producing villagers, and what is the right strategy. But here it just seems that what build you are doing is the most crucial, and what is your opponent's civ, and how your civilization pairs with them.
Yeah, it's much more like playing like a Yu-Gi-Oh or a card game because, you could have a really good deck for this, but it's really not going to be good against anything else. There's a lot more hard countering happening here behind the scenes.
Yeah, like maybe if you are a British player playing British, you probably most of the time do FF, and then uh, with FF you also probably just get a factory out and boom. But I think if you fight Egyptians as the British, you do have to have some kind of rush, because if you know your opponent is probably going to do FI, you do need to have some special decks for some nations, like
Yeah,
anti-NATO deck for Bolivia and anti-FI deck for Egypt and stuff like that.
basically, in Defab Edition, you might have a YouTuber or two like Revnak or Widgie or whatever show you a couple of builds, and that might just be enough to let you play Defab Edition at a decent level. In Wars of Liberty, there's so much more learning that you need to learn to get good at, but once you do, you have so many tools at your disposal that your opponent might not even know about if they're not studying it as much as you are.
So I think that Wars of Liberty is something like chess. Who works more and who studies more is going to win.
Yep, that's exactly right. I've been playing Wars of Liberty for. When did it come out? Like in 2015, so I've almost been playing Wars of Liberty for a decade. So I have a decade of known experience playing Wars of Liberty.
Yeah, and you said a stream you finished that Teriso tournament, and where did you come, or what was your
Uh,
placement?
I was somewhere in the middle, I think, because I ran into a lot of tough opponents up front, and some that used some pretty late, some of the more obnoxious strategies. So I mean, I had a bit of trouble at the start, and I planned on catching up later on in the series. But definitely did a lot better than Liga beat Chorizo for sure.
Yeah, and a huge raid coming here, losing, I think now 11 villagers and 12, I think losing 13 villagers as Dutch, so like enormous losses.
And then Chile lost so many villagers as well. Did you see how many of villagers the Dutch lost, both initially and then the ones they were hiding inside that tower?
Yeah, that was just huge losses, talking military, economically wise. So that's just a lot of units you can't. Lots of villagers you lose, then you don't have the eco to produce army, and everything is like a snowball. You lose one villagers, your build can get totally
It,
totally fucked, and losing 13 is too much.
and here's another fact about Chile that makes it even more stinging and painful is basically every time you research an economic technology, either from the home city or from a building, as the Chileans, it affects their villagers more, so it makes them even better gatherers. But every time you research one of those technologies, it actually adds a small cost to their initial cost. So you see here, he's researched a number of wood, mining, and food technologies, so now his villagers cost 106 food, 18 wood, and 6 coin instead of the 100 food now. So to recover that number of villagers lost means you actually have to spend more resources than they probably costed at the start of the game, which hurts you even more.
Yeah, so he like lost Curry at the boys. So he like lost villagers with all the upgrades, but now he has to pay even more to get them back.
Yep, pretty much. It really it's even worse in the Imperial Age because the villages probably cost even more resources in both food, wood, and coin.
It just stings awfully.
Yeah, and that's why you need to keep your villagers alive as Chile. The point of their structure is they get a far better gather rate than your enemy's villagers, but if you lose them, then it becomes a disadvantage.
Yeah. But I think this map wasn't that good for Chile because many herds were displaced far from their base. Like look at the Dutch villagers scattered all around the map because they didn't have any herds near them, so they couldn't get food in their base. And
Yeah,
now there are threats of raiding.
yeah, that's the thing too that I think the Kaiser Alucard team did really well was they played very hit and run focus, knowing that they had the open map to take advantage of. They could go in, execute a bunch of vills, and then just take off and do it on the other side of the map very quickly. With Alucard doing his Radetzky's Hussars, since Austro-Hungarians do their Royal Guard upgrades in the Third Age instead of the Fourth, and then Italy with their Basigliaires, which are actually dismounted dragoons. So they're very good at kiting. Wow, that was
Yeah, I
bad.
mean the
You just lost the frontier defenses shipment for free because the wagons didn't even get to construct anything.
yeah, that was unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. Austro-Hungarian Hussars are really nasty because they already get their additional Royal Guard benefits in the Third Age with the Radetzky Royal Guard upgrade, and then also because they get a set of combat cards called Magyar Combat, they get 15% additional HP and attack from the Magyar Combat as well as additional 15% from the cavalry combat, so it's almost as if you can get double the combat cards on your Magyar or your Radetzky Hussars as the Austro-Hungarians.
Yeah, I mean Austro-Hungary just like Germany, just with very very solid hussars. And when you are fighting against Austro-Hungary, I mean you do have to have some kind of anti-cavalry unit because 51 damage and 500 HP is just very very solid. So you do have to have some kind of heavy hitting stuff against cavalry, like maybe pikemen, line infantry.
Yeah, and I'm just not seeing direct counters being employed here. He's doing a mix of skirms. Well, the skirms are going to be good against the Basigliaries, so I mean, it's sort of good that he's doing some skirms here. It's good that he's got some flankers, but it's just not the numbers you need to pull off a solid defense. Especially with your Chilean partner basically completely crumbled at this point.
Yeah, and Bersaglieri is just they're so fast and maneuverable around the map, and I think that was the reason they managed to do so well, because those Bersagliers just took out those frontier wagons, sniped off a few villagers, and I think if Chile, or not Chile, but Austro-Hungary pulls off one more raid at the Chile, it's game over, like at that eastern side. I
Yeah,
think the game point.
this might be game over right here because they're going to be able to wipe out the Basigliaires, but not enough line units to deal with Hussar spam, though. And unfortunately for this player, they did nerf the Grenadiers, so they do have a malice against mounted units now, so it's not like they're going to knock the horses off their riders exactly anymore, so they do have to worry about that happening.
Yeah, I don't think that that nerf was very bad because if you if they didn't nerf the grenadiers would have been just your go-to unit most of the time.
Yeah, and that's what they were scared of. They didn't want grenadiers to have too much value over other things.
Also, there are Gif, Argento, and De Los Santos Gonzalez, Luis Alberto in the chat saying hello and
Oh, the
yeah, just
Juanitos are saying hola. Hola, Juanitos Bonitos. Hope you're enjoying your juegos today. Yep, we're
yeah.
going
So
over the second recording, or we just finished the second recording. Then I'm going to restart the game and we're going to go into game number 3. Just looking at post game
yeah,
stuff.
this game was just a combination of placed raids that took out a lot of economy on both sides, and Chile just wasn't able to build any major military because of their villager losses. And yeah, just a lot of very good raids was the thing that secured the victory for Austro-Hungary and Italy.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think in this case it came down to pure tactics. One was taking advantage of the terrain, knowing it's an open map where the hunts are really far away, and they knew potentially that their players weren't going to defend their positions well and they were going to expand too quickly, and they ended up paying the price for it.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Yep, that's why you have to make measured approaches when you're moving out onto the map pretty much. Like, you can't push out too far. You need to at least bring a tower wagon with you to put the villagers in. To at least, give yourself an alert that the enemy's moving onto that position and you can get your army there and react. Even that can be hard, but if so long as you're putting the tower within a certain distance of your military building, or perhaps you're putting your barracks there, you're going to be able to defend that a lot better and cover all of your holes basically from getting plugged up pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Austro-Hungary just has very, very good hussars, and yeah, they are absolutely great. Hmm, interesting.
Looks like we might be having somebody else join us with these games, which would be pretty good.
Yeah, and it seems that the Wars of Liberty has a big Spanish or Latin American the game.
Yep.
Like I think there are Spanish speaking people playing Wars of Liberty.
Yeah, most definitely. Trying to add, let me see. See if I can, trying to find a way to create a group here for us so he can join in. Let me see if I
Who
can.
is joining?
One of the Wars of Liberty developers wants to join in. He's trying to use
Oh,
add people to
yeah. Do you think there? Why are there so many Spanish people playing Wars of Liberty and coming to streams? And
what were you asking before? I was trying to click something.
yeah, I realized in your streams that there are many more Spanish speaking people on stream. And why is that? I didn't see many English speaking. personnel.
Yeah, can we restart the call super quick with the group
Oh yeah,
so we can have the other join in? Yep, I'm gonna restart the call with the group right now. Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so getting to the history of Wars of Liberty and why there's a lot of Spaniards here. Basically, the original Wars of Liberty, or the Triple Alliance mod that Wars of Liberty started from, had a very large Spanish community because a lot of the civilizations were based around Latin America. So the Spanish AoE3 community really picked it up because it had Mexico, Colombia, Argentina. That's sort of what the first Wars of Liberty would-be civs were. And then it wasn't until later that we got things like USA, Canadians, and then Koreans, and then you had the big, which was initially called Wars of Liberty Delta, that was going to host Zulu, Egyptians, the nation-state ones, and it basically grew from there along the way. But it all started with sort of Latin American civs because the original Wars of Liberty version was called War of the Triple Alliance, based around the War of the Triple Alliance War between Paraguay and Brazil, Argentina and Uruguay, even though Uruguay didn't become an actual civ until much later down the pipe.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because looking at your past and watching your past lives, I realized there were many Spaniards in the chat, and I was just
Yeah.
asking myself
Yep. And
why.
yeah, it's a very long history that spans many years, and there's so many other Spanish YouTubers that have covered Wars of Liberty as well, like Jeff has, StefanMitrovic has, as well as Mayo Creed has done it as well. So a lot of the big name wars, a lot of the big Spanish YouTubers have covered Wars of Liberty, so it's pretty famous for them to do.
Hi guys, is my mic working properly? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's a bit soft compared to Stefan's mic, though. Certainly.
I think I can fix that. Give me a second.
See if I can boost your volume up at all on here.
What about now?
Yep, I just doubled it, so we should be good.
Nice.
Yeah.
My mic isn't that soft, it's just that I'm whispering because it's 1 a.m. in the morning for me, so...
It's midnight here.
Oh, nice.
How is it that you decided to stream so early today?
Because, unfortunately, the primary streamer, me, lives in a different hemisphere. So for me, it's only 5 in the afternoon after the work shift ends.
See.
Looks like we got our next game here. It's going to be a Central America and a Japan going up against a Canada and a Austro-Hungary. So we got another a la carte Austro-Hungary. I wonder if they're going to do sort of the same thing as they did the last. Well, it doesn't look like they're doing something a bit different this time. They're going a bit more standard in their gameplay. I noticed in the last game, the a la carte was just sort of trolling, I think, doing only late game cards as if it was like a treaty deck. Now he's really got villager cards and crates and all that here.
Finally has a decent deck.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, Canada's pretty standard too.
Yeah, they have like those skirmishers in H2, I believe. They have normal marines. They have those artillery bonus hand cavalry, and they have a cheap grenadiers. So like Canada is kind of a standard nation.
A European
Cavalry bonus
nation.
and cavalry.
Yeah.
It's neat that SOG has a deck for every Central American member state.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you don't technically have to stick with one nation as Central America. You can rejoin the Union again through the Town Center Big Button and pick another nation if you want to change the roster around and potentially get more than the standard number of Royal Guard units in your back pocket.
Yeah, but all decks looks kinda same. Not a big difference for
Yeah.
me, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, SOG really emphasizes the combination of conscripts with artisanal cannons usually, so he's big on getting a bunch of musketeers and backing them up with the really low pop Defib Edition leather can style artillery in lieu of skirmishers usually. What do you think about this Japan here? Looks pretty normalish.
Yeah, nothing special.
Dojos.
300 wood mod. Oh, yeah.
Many Age 1 cards.
Yeah,
My opinion.
Kie, Samurai, Shiguma, even Flatland Castle, which I used to do a lot when I was a beginner at AoE 3, and I sort of moved away from that since then.
Only one H4 card. That's
Infinite, the Gunto Rider one.
as 300 woods. Yeah, I'm sending it right away. So we are going to see house boom for Japan.
Oh yeah, that's always seems to be the good way to go with Japan, unless you're going super duper Tory Rush hyper aggro, usually.
Yeah.
I don't really expect him to boom so much with the houses because he doesn't have the card that reduces their costs in the deck.
You are right.
He neither has the 4 Shrine Wagon god.
Guatemala
Yeah, so
on the CA, so we're going to begin a Guatemala roster, it looks like, for them.
what could Canada possibly go for? Maybe New England, New France.
Trupa de la Marine, most likely, because the New France faction has the Trupa de la Marine as part of their unique unit roster in H2.
Yeah, so New France, we see.
Who is playing with Canada?
Kaiser is.
Oh, I see.
He's a pretty obnoxious Canada. He's really good on the micro with the Trupa de la Marines. He loves to stack them into defensive mode and just snipe villagers one by one with them. And and he loves running around the map with that pretty much.
If the enemy knows enough about the Trubda Marine, that's an easy strategy to counter that raiding with them. You just have to garrison 9 villagers inside your town center, and the town center will one-shot each troop one by one.
Yeah, pretty much.
That in H2.
Yeah, so Canada seems pretty standard.
Going Hussar again on the Austro-Hungarian side.
Yeah, it seems that it's the best you can go for, so...
Not always, but it's definitely one of their tougher options. They do get good infantry options too in terms of skirms, muskets or line infantry and grenadiers. So really, what Austro-Hungary really lacks in a lot of good unique units is basically good common units, pretty much.
Yeah, and it seems to be the same build as the last game. Just pure raiding. Again, using the open map and everything that can possibly be done here.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll see if they can actually defend it better this time, though, when they don't overextend themselves. I mean, I would have loved if Sog would have herded a bit more in towards the TC, because now you're going to have to run back a lot farther away, and they can catch you right over here in the Horribles. And he's actually moving more villagers towards the problem, instead of away from the problem. And that's just really bad pathing right there.
There's a lack of outposts playing against Austro-Hungary.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna need to tower up or something to stop that from happening at Zog. We've already seen him sort of fall into that pitfall last game as the Chileans, and he's gonna be heading in that direction again if he's not careful here. Hopefully he can, oh, he's going for FF here. He's gonna be going with Confederacy again.
I mean,
Or
those immigrants, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the Confederate immigrants are really going to help against the Hussars, but they might help a little bit against Canada, I don't know. Basically, if I put my head on...
The villager, man.
Yeah, they're immigrants. The filibusters have the same stats as the nation-state Hajusi, I believe, so not that much HP, but they do have some pretty decent damage and decent multipliers.
I do think, however, that he went to the capital H in order to get the Red Dragoon, so he can counter the Hussars.
Oh yeah, the Dragon Rojo. It's one of the only Dragoons that actually has multipliers against Scout class. At range, that is. Yeah, he's got a shipment of them right here ready to go with the Escoltas. And then he can follow up with the infinite shock units here with the Macheteros and the Lanceros as needed.
Yeah, and again, Confederacy isn't helping a lot here.
Definitely not, but I mean, it's good to have them set up at some point because essentially they help you out for later in the game because their dynamite guns are really great at blasting apart infantry, cannons, and just sieging in general.
Oh, I think I have a good idea for Central America. So currently, what I see this their market, it's enormous. So if you have a good micro, could you possibly, instead of building outposts, you just cover your TC with markets so enemy cavalry can't enter?
Yeah, you could place the buildings in such a way that makes it hard for the cav to get in. You could put walls up as well. It's really up to how much wood you got and how you manage it, really. Well, now what's going on here with Canada? It seems like Canada's really becoming a hard problem for Japan to deal with because of their Drupa de Marines and their pretty good damage output.
Yeah, and currently going for Guatemala. Yeah.
Now, one thing SOG might be able to do here with the Paletneka is basically being able to deploy a quick army if needed through that fort, because the specialty of this particular ultimate building is it's basically a special Central American fort that trains units quicker than standard forts do. So basically it's a good way to get your army out very quickly.
I mean, Central America is running out of hands. I think that's the problem
Yeah, if you can.
he's facing right now.
Yeah, he's gonna have to drive it more towards the Paletneka so he can at least get some range cover support against those hussars in the garrison point.
Yeah, oof. And he has been unlucky to save those villagers, but unlucky with that Paletneka.
Paletneka. I call it the Paletneka usually, or Paletneka or something.
Polytechnica.
Polytechnica? Makes sense.
Yes.
Polytechnica.
It's like Polytechnic in English.
Yeah, and it's like the fort for Central America, just building units fast. And
Yeah.
I think it's
Over
still
for
going
CA.
to go down, so
Yep. He had the right idea, but not the resources to back it up, which basically costed him.
I think that it at least managed to take a good amount of hussars of the building, so to pay the cost of the card.
Oh yeah. Yep, he resigned.
and also the musketeers that were in melee took out a lot of hussars.
Yeah, you kind of have to set up a proper defense against Austro-Hungarian hussars because they can really beef up stats pretty quickly if you're not careful. You know, and of course being able to get them free from your cards means your Austro-Hungaries is always going to have hussars probably in their armies, so it's something you have to have in the back of your head.
Yeah, I mean, if Central America didn't lose those villagers at the start, maybe he could have held on.
Yeah, he just doesn't. I don't think he's really. He's pushing out too far with too many vills, and he's not like taking a more defensive approach against the Austro-Hungarian player. Clearly knows how to use the hussars very well for raiding, so he really needs to, you know, either wall or tower up or just place his units in properly with the herding, of course, so he can garrison in a second and just deny him those kills where possible, and then slowly crawl back with a bit of a defense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you look at these stats here. Alucard clearly got the most kills, got the most count of all these hussars, and then when you go back to Eco, it really just wipes out CA. Canada didn't even need that much resources because the Canadians are pretty slow in their Eco initially, and they grow stronger over time. And they didn't even really need to contribute as much, and they just sort of had to keep Japan from, helping their ally out for the most part. Gonna restart this one up now, and we can move on to the next one I got lined up.
Yeah.
So the next one we got is this one called Partadaza here. This might be a Bolivian if it's the Dazas. So we got your Civ, Stefan. We got the Serbs, finally.
Yeah.
Allied to Japanese. People seem to really love Japanese today. And another Italy, another common Civ for today. And Chile. So Saga's trying once again with Chile. I think on this map in particular, Chile's going to have a pretty good advantage on water if they try to go fishing, I think, for sure. Because you have the defensibility of your water here on Malaysia.
I wonder if he will use the Grenadiers.
Oh yeah, the new stats on the Yongeos.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're pretty... The way they've been restat is pretty good. I've seen them perform well in the games I've casted so far with them.
Yeah, so there might be some water, even though I think the good thing for Italy here is their TC is very, very close to the water, so you have an option of going.
Yep. And one thing you can do with
water without.
this town wagon is actually you can construct a dock with it too.
Yeah, that's
And it's,
absolutely,
and it's actually more efficient that way because the town wagon only costs 100 wood. So you can build a dock for only 100 wood instead of 200 wood. So you can actually get 2 docks for the price of 1 if you really want to.
yeah, and you can also build a dock and get that one boat.
Oh yeah.
And still have some wood remaining.
Kind of doubtful they'll go water based on the decks we see here.
Yeah, very, very forward town wagon.
He's
Italy.
going for a marble statue to block off our base.
Oh, those are always good to get if you can. Basically, the marble statues deny your opponent's ability to construct within, I believe, a mortars area, right, of the statue.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it's really good for just pushing your enemies back and preventing them from pushing forward until they can take it down. Now, Japan is going water, we can tell here with this deck. Starting out with the 3 fishing boats, and then can send another 3 fishing boats. Also has whale oil. Yep,
Yeah,
this is
definitely. And
super fish boom here. The 5 fishing boats, even the 8 fishing boats. So I think they might just stick to a lot of water in terms of their shipments at the start. Take advantage of that.
yeah, and what's Rommel doing here?
Rommel is going for. He started out with 3 peasants, and he's got a number of options. He could go combat, get some Scythemen, which is the nation state pike. It has a bit of splash. He could use Koka's Rebellion, even though I don't think it's as efficient usually because it mostly relies on your emergency unit to boost up the stats of your Hajusi. He could get Kyler George's Legacy, which I used to get it when I first played Serbia, like a long time ago, because I thought having cheaper villagers was good, but I slowly moved away from that idea in favor of other cards these days.
Yeah, also on pronunciations, there is Kocha's Rebellion and Karageorge's Legacy.
Oh.
And Hajduk is the name of the unit.
Oh, nice. Very interesting. I never knew how to pronounce that in the correct dialect. So
yeah, I mean,
he's going for a livestock pen or a hunting lodge. Politician for Egypt, it looks like. Yeah, Pavle Nenadovic. I think he gives you some geese, which you can put right on top of that hunting lodge to get some food later. Sask is definitely going very eco here. Again, the Toshugu Shrine with an emphasis on fishing. Also used the Portuguese consulate to make the wonder cheaper. So is playing very deep into eco here.
Could you share the screen in the Discord call so we can watch it live?
Oh sure, yeah, let me do that. Let me set that up for you. Might have to do it every time I restart the game, so it'll be pretty interesting. Let me see here. So I think I have to make this window a bit bigger to set it up. Keep it nice and simple to prevent performance issues.
Thank you.
Yep, there we go. So Chile is going to go hyper aggro, it looks like, with the Civicos. And they've already established a trading post with the free trading post rickshaw they get when you age up initially with the Arab immigrants.
Great combo.
Yeah, and he's going to start out with Civicos, and then he's going to ship in the powerful 800 wood Chile has access to, because if players didn't know that yet, basically all of Chile's cards delivers a crate of 100 resources of some kind, sometimes wood, sometimes food or coin, even sometimes experience crates too.
yeah, I'm sorry a bit, but I have to go currently.
Oh, that's fine. We'll finish up the rest of this one.
Good night.
Yeah, good night, so enjoy the rest of the stream.
Yep. Yep, so we'll be saying bye to Stefan, for now. We'll probably see him again on Tuesday when we do another stream of Definitive Edition games, which I can assure you HV and I has worked pretty tirelessly to get me more recordings for that, so we got plenty of stuff to play around with in terms of stuff to watch and commentate on.
That sounds great. How many streams, how many games do you have left to stream today?
I have a good number of them. You know, how many more do you think you could do?
Me, I don't know, I might have to leave soon as well. I could stay for another hour at most.
Oh, sure. I think we got enough games from the Wars of Liberty multiplayer Discord to cover that. I don't know exactly how long all these games are going to be, so if you do have to leave in one of the middle of one of them, I can cover the rest of that one and call it quits after that one's done.
Okay.
Yes.
They have a nice combination of skirmishes and heavy infantry.
Yep, and I always like these battalion Civicos because they can double up as an anti-infantry unit when they go in their Chablica Diablo mode as well.
Yep. So they actually have a 2.5 unit combination rather than just 2 units.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of the newer players understand of that secretive mode until they witness it firsthand being used against them.
Pretty niche of a mechanic, rarely seen in most games, and I think that's there are about 2 units that use that kind of special tactics, and the other unit being the Colorado.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what's Serbs gonna do here? It seems like they're mostly trying to defend here, but it doesn't look like they're getting much help yet from their ally. Japan's just sort of... Oh, what's, is Japan gonna go... Oh, he's gonna go, with the Gunta Riders, it looks like. He's got double stable, so if he can get those going, maybe he can at least dominate against the Volunteers and maybe outnumber the Civicos enough. At least initially.
If I was Serbia, I would have gone for the god that sends the landowners and the Haiduks, and I would have called also the landowner to defend the colony.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a blunder. Definitely.
Yeah, it seems that he was trying to go for a fast fortress because he sent the gold crates.
Yep, I don't think he saw the aggro coming. Especially when you know your allies going heavy into eco with both fishing and Toshugu Shrine focus, you should know that you might have to do a bit of that fighting yourself, and you should be ready for that.
That's a weird situation. The cavalry was charging into heavy infantry, and Chile preferred to retreat the infantry instead of fighting the cavalry.
Yeah, that was a bit of a blunder on Sog's part, because now he's probably going to lose more Civicos than he probably needed to in that situation. And the more Rommel and Sass can draw this out, the more units that that TC is going to be able to wipe out on its own too, so they have to close in the gap sooner rather than later and get that TC down. Start making some gains on that base.
Yep. More gold crates from Serbia. And he got the landowner out.
Yeah.
Now he only needs to micro the villages.
Yep, he got the Boyar out to beef up their stats. So when they have the Boyar out, they get about 15 range attack. Not too bad.
Yep. They become super villages.
Supremacy without the supremacy.
Yep. The boyar itself also has pretty high stats.
Yeah, unfortunately, that new change was added to it, so it actually dies after a certain amount of time. It's not immortal anymore with 1 HP.
It is immortal as long as it doesn't get attacked.
Oh.
You can't code units in Legacy that die with negative health or regen. They will always remain alive at 1 HP.
Ah, interesting. So why do the emergency warriors for the South American natives seem to die after a number of seconds?
The emergency warriors of the South American natives.
Yeah, I recall their archers, unlike the ones for the North American natives, if you leave them alone for a while, they just slowly, their HP goes to 0 or something.
They do?
At least in the past they did. I haven't checked up on it recently.
Well, I don't know. Most probably it's hard-coded. It's weird that no one managed to implement a unit that dies. If we already have that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised they didn't go into features like that for sure.
And this was a fast game.
But look at the timer though, look at how big it is, so maybe Japan's gonna pull something off here that we don't know about.
Or he's just going to stall the game.
Yeah, they're just gonna troll and go for Great War Age perhaps.
Nanarito. Japan has consulate skirmishes, or rangers, it seems.
The Academicos.
Rangers. The older rangers.
The Power Rangers. Get that veteran upgrade on the Kievs. Get some decent stats on them to deal with these H2 units and maybe gain an advantage on them. Especially when Chile's just moving their Civicos without a counterattack like that.
He's just walking around.
Exactly, he called it.
And now he got them into the Chupilco mode.
Here's the Chuplica del Diablo being used against those
What we mean.
Shogunas.
That's katanas against drunk Chileans.
The drunk Chileans always win. Now, drunk Chileans with katanas, that's a good movie idea right there.
They really need to pump out some artillery against Japan.
Yeah, most definitely.
They got stuck in H2. Well, Chile could get some artisanal cannons.
Oh yeah, the artisanals, that's a decent option. Could see right now actually if they're gonna go in that route. Seems like they Yeah, I don't see any foundries anywhere around here, so I guess they're not quite ready to go that route yet. Yeah, this is pretty disturbing. You beat a player, and then you got two people, and they both get scared into a corner just because of one player. That shows you that Japan is pretty decent for his ELO level, honestly.
It's a frightening aura on any kind of player.
Yeah, I mean, I think on terms of ELO level, Sask is probably not the highest level. He was actually only in Liga B during the last Liga that unfortunately got cut a bit short. But even though he's Liga B, he seems to understand Japan really well, and he's also pretty okay with Germany as well.
Interesting. Kaiser went to Capital Age. What bonus did he get? Can you check his colony?
Oh, he's gonna get some Basigliaries. That's a bit of a problem since those particular maneuver units don't get any multipliers against the artillery.
And neither are against the Gunto Riders, at least in range combat.
Oh yeah. As long as they don't go into melee with them, they'll do pretty good. Just maneuvering around.
He could trade well with the Bexagliaries if he can manage to mass a big amount of them.
Oh yeah, that's sort of the weird.
Because Bexagliaries.
Yeah, it's sort of the weird relationship between scout and maneuver units in Wars of Liberty. Is you're used to DE when you just make some dragoons to wipe out their hussars, but no, when Wars of Liberty land, you can make a good mass of hussars and potentially beat their dragoons if they're not careful with the right number proportions in melee.
Yep, exactly. And there's the daimyo. Does Italy have the 2 Falconets shipment in the deck?
I don't believe. Does Italians actually get 2 Falconets as an option?
I think they do. Maybe I'm wrong.
I haven't checked Italy's cards in ages. I'm not too sure about. At least it doesn't sound like something I've seen recently with them.
Yeah, indeed, they don't have the 2 Falconets in H3 shipment, they only have the 2 Falconets in H4.
Yeah, that sort of puts Italy back in some of their FF strategies. They either have to go Basigliere or Alpini, usually, to gain an edge.
They don't even have Culverines in the home city.
Yeah, that sort of puts Italy back in certain situations for sure.
Yep. The artillery is really weak, and they are really weak against artillery.
Yep, very weak indeed, especially since their maneuver came and deal with them. Interesting, making the Danikil ban. Don't those spearmen actually have a multiplier against artillery, though?
I don't remember. I
Yeah,
really don't remember.
yeah, I'll have to look at them, because that might actually be a way that they can wipe out those cannons with, if that's the case. If he survives that long, that is. How's his Gensui doing? So yeah, Takamori's got all his HP intact for the most part, so he'll continue to be a threat.
They even regenerate if you leave them idle for a while.
Oh yeah, because they're heroes.
I don't remember if they have the hero tag.
Yep, hero tag.
They do?
Yep.
They do. I think that was added in Wall. They don't have the hero tag in Vanilla.
Pretty interesting. It
And
does.
neither in the...
Yeah, at least gives you the chance to snipe them with spies potentially.
Yeah, that was the idea behind giving them that tag.
Yeah, that's sort of what spies do. Take out the top generals and cause havoc in the army. Just two hussars taking down a can. That's pretty alarming. Yeah, these do get multipliers against the artillery as well as assault, so they're like melee dragoons, basically. At least in terms of their multipliers, but not their tags.
Yep. 5 times 12, that's 60.
And they got this.
They do, however, have very low hit points. But
Yeah.
high speed, yeah.
And they'll get sprayed down by the skirms too, because they're heavy infantry.
They are heavy infantry.
That's the thing you gotta love with Japan is they can ship their cards twice. So if you didn't think that the initial canal shipment was gonna kill you, then they can just ship 2 more and afterwards. And get 3 cannons instead of 2. Or 4 if you get really unlucky. I have a feeling somebody in this game is going to troll and go to Great War Rage, because we're already this deep into the fighting and it's not even the halfway point in the timer.
It looks like, yeah.
I'm guilty of doing that myself, especially against Chorizo during the Liga, when I was, it was the Portuguese mayor.
I remember watching his stream. I saw that.
Yeah, he said he let me do it just so we could get a image of Great War Rage.
There are the Dana kills going for the artillery.
That was a perfect snipe by him too.
Yep. And it vanished.
Yep, 6 speed, not bad. Good maneuver against those Lanceros though, wiped them out pretty quickly.
Yep. I wouldn't have gone for Lancers. I would have invested the resources on artillery, because the enemy has a combination of heavy infantry and skirmishes.
Or go Skolta, at least get assault, because you got the...
Yeah, or Escolta, indeed. Or Grenadiers, even.
Oh yeah, you just would need to get the proper numbers to justify it.
Yep.
The Escoltas work a little bit better out of the box.
Even Escopeteros or Marines could have done better than the Lancers.
Oh, big time, you know. At least they have the pretty good range stats to keep the fight going. And also, you get the advantage in Chile of actually being able to train those sailors at their barracks with that card they get.
And upgrade them cheaply.
It looks like it's going to happen again now. The Denakils.
Danagil's strike pack.
Probably a native warrior many people haven't seen until now, and now you understand why only one civ gets to use those things. They even took out the general as well.
Kaiser is microwing pretty well right now. He managed to get the artillery out, and he was cleaning also the infantry with the Alpini.
Yeah, the one problem he's going to run into, though, is that Kaiser knows how to micro pretty good with his infantry, so he's going to be able to hold out a bit longer than probably Sass wanted to.
And Dujo.
Chile again, a fort that might buy them a bit more time if they can finish that, which, I don't know, hopefully puts in the right place.
Orc is going to grant him a lifeline.
Yeah,
The Japanese will stop.
Italy's doing pretty good in terms of resource count. I mean, they got quite a bit of food to hold this thing out if they have to.
He could spam a mass of line infantry to soak damage in combination with Alpini. Or even Hussars.
He could actually go with the Cuirassier as well out of the stable, since Italy does get that. Gonna lose that fort, unfortunately.
That's unlucky for Zog. He also lost the Polytechnica in the previous game.
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to manage his forts, I guess. What are these Japanese villas doing that far out? Oh, for the mine. I see.
The Japanese was pretty confident, and he didn't build castles.
I mean, if you're doing this, burning this much stuff down as one Japan, I can understand why you're that confident. Look at all the damage he did. Wiped out this entire thing clean except for these houses.
Yeah, he wiped the enemy bases, but he forgot to take the map control.
Yeah.
Expecting to finish the game fast.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem with a lot of people in this situation. They think they've done most of the cleaning out one of the bases, and then they just slip away into some other area and come back. Oh, Lusitano Dragoons with the Academico Power Rangers.
I am not sure what he tries to counter with these units.
Yeah, I mean, probably in this situation, I mean, I would probably... I don't know, you could go Dutch and get their skirmishers here. You could go with USA and get Gatling guns later. I don't know if the Portugal is probably the military comp you want here, honestly. but I guess having some maneuver is good in case one of them goes assault. Just like I predicted, Kaiser's going with the assault, the Corsairs.
Yep. And the Japanese is getting line infantry.
See if you can find these Alpini here and snipe them off. Yeah, way too
They
far.
are in a weak spot.
Like, what would happen if SAS were to come over here and wipe these out with some cav? That'd be a pretty good attack. Even this area is pretty vulnerable because there's no towers over here.
There's a severe lack of outposts and castles in this game.
Yeah, people just thinking, oh yeah, they're not gonna use their cav properly. They're not gonna find me.
What are the red units that are coming from the east? More at the east.
Now this is a good turtle right here. Ford and
Okay, got another fort up. That's a yellow fort.
Oh,
It's
oh,
Kaiser's.
that's an Italian one. I thought it was Chile for some reason. Like, oh, did he send the? But that would be impossible because that fort comes out in Industrial Age, when it lets the forts trickle the coin.
And the Japanese is suiciding the units right now. The fort is going to eat a lot of them. That's a war of attrition.
Yeah, again, very confident. No towers here. Up here comes the Sulcav. This is going to be the true test right here. I guess it kind of is good that he stuck with the Portuguese consulate, because at least he's got a couple of dragoons to make some favorable trades against him. If he'd actually use them against him, that is. I don't know why it's going in that direction. I think a real...
They didn't really damage the fort.
Yeah.
Oh, but they are melting it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, fort's gonna go down. It did do some pretty good damage value in terms of wiping out a bunch of stuff.
It paid its cost.
Yeah. Now, this is a pretty scary idea here. What happens when you get raided is Italy, because unlike other villagers, if your merchants get raided, they can't actually build a tower to defend themselves. They just have to sit there and die, pretty much.
They have to accept their destiny.
Yep, they have to pray to the Vatican that they'll meet a happy afterlife.
Someone is getting raided at the center east of the map. Or was getting raided, I don't know. Oh, it's just a combat between the explorers.
Explorer Wars. Yeah. This drunken slang again being by a girl, that's pretty weak.
I think that the Japanese is going to find out about the villagers in the western side of the map.
Yep, because his Saviko's thankfully leading him right to the town center.
Yeah.
No, not the herb colony. Does he even have any, does he even have any Arab workers? If he doesn't have any Arab workers, he's not getting that thing back. Yeah, I don't think he has any Arab workers anywhere, unfortunately. It's kind of a pity too, because those Arab workers are really good because they gather a bit of all the resources while they're working. It's going to be able to afford another grouping of dragoons and volunteers soon, so they'll have a bit of a better defense against this developing assault cav up here again.
Villagers escape.
Or will they?
They are migrating back to the base.
They're gonna grab the tin mine and the Sog's tin mine at that point. It's every man and woman for themselves. Doesn't matter whose mine it is. You gotta grab it.
Also, Chile does have an artillery shipment.
Oh, they do. Yep, they got the 3
Yeah, they have 3
artisanals.
artisanals.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I don't know why that one hasn't been used yet. Especially since the artisanals are so easy to upgrade. Only 100 wood and 100 food. Very cheap.
Yep. And they do a decent job against artillery. Against infantry, I mean. Many poor SCRs were lost there.
Shiguma. Absolutely wrecking it.
These 3 falconets are trying their best to kill the Shagumas, but they aren't guarded anymore. And too many units are shooting at them.
Yeah, they're basically just Ashigarus as anime girl cosplayers, pretty much, with their red wigs.
The wigs, the red wigs that the Shagumas are wearing, were actually used by officers in the army only. Most soldiers didn't use them.
Oh, so it was a common thing in the Japanese military ranks to use those?
It used to be, I think, during the Boshin War by the end of the century, but I think it was abandoned really fast. It went out of fashion.
I can imagine them using that in World War II, these big red wigs, boarding the aircraft carriers with them. Swapping off to a new consulate ally.
The town center is scratching the back of the horse, not dealing any damage at all.
Yeah, just run to the other side of the map, since, I don't know, we got houses here and stuff that haven't been burned down somehow.
Yeah. With no map control, the game really got stalled for a long while.
Yeah, I wonder if Zask will actually grab his food crates, his spaghetti and meatballs. Oh, he went into Japanese isolationism, so he's gonna become a hikikomori indeed, and stick to his den of anime girl cosplayers with red wigs.
I think that he might be going for the Bushido principles, so he can increase the block size, the batch size.
Oh yeah,
training.
Maybe he might even get the Hadamado Samurai as well. That's a pretty good thing to go with them.
Yep.
The katana that actually works like a katana, stripping through armor.
Did they keep the siege attack in melee?
Well, they did for a while. I don't know if they still do. I thought they were like the only katana unit that still had the crush armor in its sword. It's been like that since the lab patch, I thought.
I think it was with the Ultra Hungary patch that changed.
Yeah.
Nanarito.
Back to the good old days when Japanese katana Shigumas had splash attack with their katanas. They had a wide swing.
Do they had the splash attack? I wasn't in the world community when that used to be a thing.
Yeah, the Kie had a splash attack and the Shiguma did. And I think it was like that up until the Maori patch, I believe. That made basically fighting Japan near impossible a lot of the time because things like the triangle F and stuff would just get destroyed by him because they'd cover each other so well with that katana swing.
At some point you could burn through heavy infantry with the Gunto Ride.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Oh, he's going to be going landmines. That's not a bad idea.
La segretezza è assicurata. Discrezione è il mio socorro.
If you can win the game normally, give him an offer he can't refuse. Bing ba boom.
No, that's
Dead
funny.
in a second. Working surprisingly well with the Camaristas.
And I think that Sask doesn't know how spies work in WoW. He might not understand why his units are flying.
Like they're swinging their swords really weird. You might think that they might have consumed too much sake or something.
No, that's a lot of shanking.
Well, yep, that's a lot of shanking right there. What's this one doing? Defying physics, I guess. It doesn't even know which one to go after. It's just profusely twitching in both directions.
It's kind of weird that the normal units can actually target stealthy units, but they can't deal damage to them.
Yeah, it's very strange in that sense. They can damage them, but they can't see them. More mines being laid underneath them. Oh no, we just revealed one of them. That's not good.
I wonder how.
Guardia del generale a rapporto.
By the time Sask actually wins this thing, he's probably going to have enough export to Imperial Age using the Meiji restoration, probably. Doesn't even need a wonder.
Imperial Age using the major restoration. What's that?
The 400 export option at the Japanese isolationist consulate lets you just age up through the consulate for 4,000 export instead of getting a wonder.
Oh.
I don't think it's used that often, but you can definitely use it in some situations if you have a lot of export in your back pocket. Yeah, SAS should just fall back and get some tanks and airplanes and Great War Age and just finish them off that way, probably. At this point, you got enough eco that you could probably secure it that way and not do too much combat. They're just deleting their ships, it looks like. Oh yeah, why is he deleting his ships? Is he going to resign?
I think that you can increase the game speed at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's probably lagging like crazy here. Yeah, let's see what's going on. More or less the same. See if we got any Great War Age here. More of the landmine tactics. What's going on down here? Is Kaiser actually going to get the Industrial Age or whatever? Nah, doesn't look like it. More Taros. That's interesting. Oh, he's going with the, what's he going with? Oh, he got the Great Buddha. So he can reveal his enemies finally.
I wonder if that reveals also the stealthy units.
Finally figuring out why his units are twitching profusely and can't see anything.
Why his units are having epileptic attacks.
Oh, here's the, oh, so they brought the, oh, so it is Hack Attack. It used to be, Crush for a while.
Yeah.
Still good. Still very effective.
The problem for the Italian is that his units aren't upgraded and that he went straight into melee mode, into the Hatamotos with them.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You gotta kite those things.
Yeah, he has to make use of the Italian bonus range on unique units.
Yep. Alpini would probably be the best option since they get, what, like, is it like 22 range or 24 range?
24.
24, yeah.
Italian unique units, that is the Bersaglieri and the Alpini have, plus 4 extra range.
Oh, so yeah, definitely the Alpini would have been the way to deal with that. Here comes the more towers. I think that's enough to make him resign, probably. Oh, never mind, never mind. Getting sniped by mafiosos. Something you see every day. What are these cannons doing? They're just sort of like twitching back and forth.
They are suffering. The mafiosos aren't even upgraded. He could have gotten a pistol upgrade for them.
Yeah. It's definitely.
Who did resign?
Yep, Zog resigned first, and then Kaiser probably did in unison. Six figures on the resource count, not bad. $657 kills and 88 buildings burned to the ground. That's a lot.
Yep. Why does your UI look like that?
What, like this?
Oh, no mind.
What, like
It
this?
looks proper on the YouTube streaming, but on the Discord it was lagging some of the vertical lines on the numbers. Weird.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. Pretty weird. I think I put the graphics quality down a bit on the Discord stream, so it wouldn't use up too many of my resources on the YouTube stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most probably that's the cause.
Yeah. Because I ran into that problem with the House of the Train Post stream before I put too much on the one on Discord, and it basically froze stuff, and I had to restart one of the recordings again. I think we got another one to do. If not, I'll pull another one up. Oh yeah, I'll probably have to. Yeah. Oh, it says stream pause, so I'll probably just let you watch it again when it pulls up again.
Yep.
I have to see what that one's actually called, though.
Hopefully it's a short game.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now the Discord stream didn't pause. It closed itself. You need to restart it.
Yeah, I'll set that up for you.
Thank you.
There you go. Oh, it was called 2v2 Mendocino, so that's what it's called. This one right here. Shouldn't be too bad, I think. Question is, oh, we got Romania. Very good civ pick. Italy.
Again.
Got Francia.
France.
And Portuguese.
Portugal. We have a huge amount of late game civs.
Yep, pretty much. Should be a pretty interesting matchup, I think, for sure. Why scout with cavalry when you can just use a hot air balloon?
French leave in the future.
It's sort of weird how melee units can actually attack the hot air balloon.
Can they? I think that was fixed at some point. I don't remember.
Oh, it was? I probably didn't
I
notice
think
that
I'm
yet.
not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty weird though if you could like have a bear trying to eat a hot air balloon while it's flying in the air. Well, my question would be in this match is if Hishay can actually hold the fort down, I think, with Isma's help here. Hopefully Isma will be a bit of good assistance and might even offer some military aid. Because I know Hishay in particular does better the later in the game he gets into. Early game, not the best, but once he gets into like Imperial Age and Great War Age, he's a really good fighter in that.
Ramal and Sask may be interested in rushing them or on finishing them as early as possible.
Yeah, he does have some options for that. He's got the Caloras, the Dorabant, the Vendatori. He's got the nice Falconet card for him. The Rosita works. He's got options for that.
Looks like a mid-game deck. Or
Yeah.
a fast fortress deck.
Yep, and then you can pull out the Farpanzers and Industrial if you need to. Sask, yeah, looks like another mid-game sort of deck with the Reef Ridge, Royal Mint, the Sweb Focus, the Falconets, the Corsair. Yeah, most definitely.
And also the Royal Decree.
Oh yeah, those nice Royal Decree skirmisher shipments you can get with the French. The Alpini and the Cassadors.
Yep.
Très bien.
The Grisette for the French politician. Core Master
So
for
he's-
Romania.
Yeah, so the French is going for fast fortress.
Yep, looks like it. Makes their next age up cheaper and 400 resources, right?
Yep.
Another quartermaster here with Portuguese.
I wouldn't go for a fast fortress against Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal's always going to win in that situation with
Yeah.
3 TCs.
Both Portugal and Italy need to be rushed because they have a really weak early game.
Yeah, you let him last a little bit longer, though. You see some really bad things happen, especially with Hishay's Great War Age Italy. You know, I've seen him literally pack whole groups of flamethrowers into boats across Finger Lake and just burn my entire base down when nothing was there. He goes for everything.
He plays all the gods that he has in his hands.
Yep, pretty much. My question though is why does he have like mercenary loyalty in here but no mercenary shipments? What's up with that?
It's a weird deck. Does it even have 25 cards? 5, that's 15 plus... I think that it doesn't even have 25 cards.
Yeah.
It has 23, it seems.
Yeah, pretty strange. I would put something else in there myself.
Maybe it's an old deck and got buggy after the patches and he forgot to change it.
Yeah, probably. Because he seems to like going Corsair with Italy a lot, so I would have thought he would have had some of those cards that Italy gets to upgrade them. Going Tower House, kind of an interesting route to go.
Might be rushing the advanced arsenal upgrades.
Yeah, that's what I would think. It definitely helps out in terms of getting to the next age, because military upgrades cheapens your next age up cost pretty good, with Romania's modernization bonus. Even getting some of those market techs will also cheapen that age up cost as well.
That combos nicely with the nation state market bonus that makes the market technologies cost 50% less.
Yep, most definitely.
I don't know why these units are having a negative aura on them.
Yeah, that's kind of confusing to me too. Is it like a recording bug maybe, or...
Yeah, most probably.
Yeah. We've had that in the past before with debuffs and stuff in the recording. It's half the reason why Teresa was even hesitant of using the Liga on certain maps before. Yeah, it looks like the debuff is gone, at least for now. Picking up the territorial attack to give their Dorobanti muskets some more damage.
You know that the voices of the Dorwand were taken from League of Legends.
I believe, I think so, yeah. Wasn't that the same case with the ones for the other infantry units as well? Except for the Scythemen, I thought.
It was the case for the ones of the Dorwand and the ones of the Venator.
Oh yeah, that's right, I remember that.
Went for Chassis.
Oh, the Chaucers, that's a pretty interesting option to go for. I like going Mount Skirms myself now, especially since they're a one-pop unit now. You can mess them up pretty well.
They have a different feel now. They don't feel that wonky in combat. And they don't do that much of an overkill now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Looks like Portugal's gonna defend with the fort now that they've gone for their FF.
Sì. Preparato. Qual è il suo ordine?
Pretty formidable skirmish here at the Cazador is.
Preparato.
Right, I'm back.
Nice.
Qual è il suo ordine?
Looks like Rommel and Sass gonna try to make another counterattack on Portugal at this point. Oh, the Foreign Legion, that's not a bad option. Just the further they get away from their TC or consulate, the stronger they become in terms of stats.
The French went for a fast industrial, just to get foreigner legions out.
Yeah, I guess Sask ended up doing a bit of an FI there to get them. Now, since they're getting closer to their TC, that debuff is coming back. Oh no, they lost all that range attack because the Cazadors went back to his base. Very unfortunate. Still will clean them up though. Yeah, his shape likes to build some pretty extensive wall structures I found, so he looks like he's trying to do that at least a little bit here. It's got a bit of an advantage on this map because you got these nice craters almost in the middle of the map that you can save you some of the wood costs to get those walls up.
Ordini?
Oh, he's got some of the Zwevs. Believe it or not, if you haven't seen this yet, these are players, these are assault units actually, same thing as these. And you might be thinking, how can this be the same thing as this? And they actually are. See, it's an assault shock unit. This is a assault shock unit. Only difference is this thing is good against infantry because of its splash attack and HP and combat abilities in melee, whereas the SWEB does it by being a good range unit with multipliers against infantry. Bit of a varied type of gameplay between them. Yeah, I like using SWEBs quite a bit. They seem to clean up the infantry pretty well. And best part of them too is they shadow tech themselves, so you don't actually have to upgrade them.
Yep, they work like the Spahis in that case.
Oh yeah. I kinda like the SWEBs a bit better though, because they come in more numerous numbers and you can kite better with them. You don't have to go into melee.
Indeed. And there are the Casadocs cleaning the enemy one by one.
Yeah,
He needs to spread them a bit.
yeah, he's gotta like
Micro, they are
put some over
effective.
here, get a little over here, and get a better angle on them. Got a good unit, you're just not using it completely the best way you could. And since the Zwev is actually an assault unit, that means the Basigliaires here actually are a good counter unit to it. And actually have multipliers against them. It's kind of an interesting thing to keep in mind if you're getting dominated by the Zwev style assault unit early in the game, is you can actually get maneuver like the Bersigliere or Dragoon to actually initiate multiplier damage versus them in combat. It's one of those things I learned, I think early on when I didn't know how to deal with the Louisiana Tigers of USA. I struggled with them in Age 2, and then once I picked up some units as Bolivia in Age 3, then, you know, things started going better for me. That's back when the Louisiana Tiger stats were a little bit wonky and uncontrolled. And no, these are not heavy cannons, these are actually culverins, mountain artillery. It's kind of interesting because Portuguese are one of the best civs to hit Great War Age with. So if we are going to see a Great War Age, it's probably going to be with the Portuguese civ, just because they get a really good economy quick enough that they can, you know, get that resource ball rolling before their opponents can catch up with them and increase the cost of it for them. Like, every game you have, like, a Portugal in it in a 1v1, you're guaranteed to get a Great War Age, usually, either by them or their opponent. Because that's the type of game that Portugal plays a lot.
Another topic, I think that the French player has taken the wrong decision by making cuirassiers while the enemy has Bersagliers stacked.
Yeah, that's just a really bad move on his part, because what's going to happen is they're just going to get sniped by him. And they're such an expensive unit, you pay for losing expensive units like that in the long run, even in a 2v2 like this. I mean, going with the steel guns, though, and the Griffith upgrade for him, now that's a good decision to make, because that means these cans are going to be really beefed up, and that's something that you can use to go after the Italian units with, so he should probably just focus more on getting those out and protecting them.
Yeah, with the heavy cannons you can even obliterate Vexagliaris with such an ease.
Yep, no multipliers on those particular maneuver units against the cans. Sort of the same situation Italy ran with in last game, dealing with the Japanese artillery. How many vills are we at this point with France? So France only has about so they're about half their max pop. Romania is at about 36 on the peasants, and how many of the Romas do they got? I know they sent to Verdun out before. So they have about 12 of them. So they got a pretty good eco going for sure. And the reason why you see these Roma villagers, in case you haven't seen them before, players, is because when the Verdun and the Roma are near the TC, their gather rate is actually experiences a debuff, so they actually have to move out onto the map to really see their best value. And the thing that makes the Roma villagers technically better than peasants is they actually trickle a bit of experience points, helping you get shipments a bit quicker. Slowly taking out the buildings with these mountain artillery. Yeah, that's not gonna work. All those basigliaries, and they didn't even wipe out one of them. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be running foot artillery in front of mountain artillery, though. That's just asking for problems. Oh, but he's not aiming them, though, so I maybe will be able to... Yeah, he's taking them out just because it took him a while to register what was going on and start aiming them. There we go. Portuguese hussars making good gains on the Romanian infantry. It's looking like a bit of a Portugal team resurgence here on their base. Getting some good gains on the combat side. And I think when you got an ally of Portugal, they're going to be growing no matter what. So over time, it's just going to become better and better for the Portugal team here.
I find it interesting that they won the battle with a combination of skirmisher plus dragoon.
Yeah, I was surprised considering the move that Sask was moving into doing the steel guns, that the Bursas actually were able to do somewhat okay there. It's kind of a shocking thing.
There were no steel guns in the combat, though.
Yeah. Here's some right here.
And there are the other two behind the fort.
Some peasant losses by Rommel to the Hussars. That one up there, though, is getting some good juicy villager action. Yeah, but you gotta watch your cans, though. You're leaving them sort of unguarded here, and you're gonna lose that one, and you're probably, you're gonna lose that one too. If he had the bursts just a little bit closer, he probably could have negated that at least a little bit. It is good, though, that he's sort of engaging in melee against the Karas, because that means he'll be able to wipe them out as they come in. Now the steel guns have arrived, and now we're gonna see that's gonna force them back at this point. They're gonna need some units to deal with that. Oh, 4 steel guns. This is even worse. They're really gonna have to get some culverins or something, even if it's between the both of them to be able to counter that.
They will need a lot of culverins to take them out. Or dragoons.
Yeah, Portugal could get their super range Genitor dragoons. That's always an option. Does he even have that card in his deck, hopefully?
Good
Yes, he
question.
does. He does have Genitors.
He does.
If you play Portugal without Genitors, I don't know.
And he's going for H4. And he's getting also the advanced arsenal.
So he's
I
doing...
wonder if he will have time to stack all the upgrades.
Yeah, that's a question. I think most important ones is definitely the ones to beef up the stats on his skirms for sure.
Rifling. Military dramas, flintlock, and paper cartridge.
Yeah.
Tanky skirmishers against skirmishers with high armor combat.
Yeah, pretty much. Weren't the Vanatoria anti-skirm at some point?
A while ago. Like years ago.
Yeah, I remember back then Romania didn't have any solid skirmisher options for a while when they really suffered against heavy infantry. Because basically they had their archaic unit, and then the Vanatori, was an anti-skirm, so really all they could hope to do is just spam a bunch of Swallows and spray them with the rapid fire, which back then the Swallows weren't that great.
Everybody's upgrading the Cazadors. I got them at guard status. And also got some arsenal upgrades on them.
Yep, that'll be pretty useful here.
Hmm.
Assuming they
I
don't
would have focused on...
Assuming they don't get blasted by the steel guns, though. Because, fortunately, Cassadors, for all the armor they get, they have very low HP.
They are going to fly away. I would have gone for the Dragoon upgrades. Or
Genitors
for
is...
some cool wagons.
Yep, Genitors followed by Dragoon combat.
Or even riding school. So he could mass them really fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Eight steel guns.
And he might even get some more here, but he doesn't seem to be training a whole lot. Just gradually adding an assault. Definitely a time to get Dragoons on the Portuguese side.
Is that Cuirassiers? Yeah.
The Scent Guard.
I think that you can speed up the game until the battle begins.
Yeah, seem to be idling a bit here, so we'll just wait for him to deploy something. Alright. See what they're grouping up to at least. Yeah, France just picking up all their arsenal upgrades. Huge shot, gunner squadron.
I don't really get.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's going for hit the shot. That's for naval maps.
Yeah, like where's he gonna put a boat in this like little pond here or something? I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, the only water you got here is like this little fishing hole right here. With no fish. I think there
were
was
landmines.
Oh, landmines. Oh no. Oh yeah. Hishay loves landmines, just like Kaiser. He uses them all the time against me. Like, if you ever see me fight Hishay in my matches I've done before, I always have to deal with this with them. It's very painful. I always lose the front of my army every time I go into his base, and I have to constantly keep my hero around to spot the spies, hopefully. Before it gets really out of control. Why aren't they...
Weird.
No, there we go. There's
there.
stuff flying.
There you go.
That was up.
Now the Cassadorks flew away.
Yeah. Bad move. You gotta get some dragoons on the Portuguese side to deal with those steel guns. Should be definitely be making at least like Hussar or something instead of versus here.
That's the fight because Light Blue took the wrong decisions for
Yeah,
his army composition and the upgrades.
yeah, really bad unit choices. Oh, he's gonna put the landmines under. Oh wow, look at that. That's the new Culverin right there, sticking landmines underneath them.
And the 200 IQ movement.
Yeah, and they only cost like 35 wood and 35 coin, even
Yeah.
cheaper than the Culverin.
Indeed.
Yeah, because some people think spies are kind of useless and they don't know how they work. But yeah, you can do some crazy stuff with spies like that.
You really managed to stop them.
Yeah,
All the artillery is gone.
survived another wave. Pretty surprised Sask at this point hasn't even picked up artificial fertilizer yet. He's just picking that up now. Could still get Eco Theory and the gathering improvement from Bella Epoche as well.
I wonder if he upgraded the heavy artillery training speed at the factory.
Yeah, that would definitely be very helpful for sure, especially if you're going to constantly be making these. He's gonna get the guard on the Chaucerers now.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad combination because the Chaucerers and Mass can deal with the maneuver prom pretty quickly.
It's kind of funny that the French are using mounted skirmishers while the Italians are using dismounted dragoons.
Yeah, very.
For someone coming from their mind would explode watching this kind of combat.
Yeah. Yeah, now again the Dragoons. A little bit late.
Finally.
Yep, got the Lusitano RG op bomb, thankfully.
Now they also got the guard.
Yeah.
Now they only require the arsenal upgrade so they can get to 18 range.
Yep, the ranged cavalry cockerel. And the genitors. Should be enough to survive that engagement though, I think.
And there we have it. Mounted skirmishers against dismounted dragoons.
Yeah, I don't. Does he know what these are even? I don't know. I don't think he knows that. You know, the mounted skirms don't have any scout or assault tag. Yeah, that's the neat thing about, I guess the mount skirms is they don't have to suffer from multipliers from things like falconets or horse artillery. You just have to deal with the initial crush attack of it, usually. So they're a bit more survivable in those situations.
They can still be easily obliterated by heavy artillery, such as the steel gun.
Yeah, because heavy artillery is heavy artillery. It has a lot of base attack without the multipliers.
Yeah.
Though that does mean with stuff like the little bombard, technically they suffer from, there's a malice against the mouse skirms that they don't have against the dismount skirms.
The little bombard has a malice.
Which one am I thinking of? Some cannon I remember, heavy cannon that had some malice against shock units. Maybe Gatling guns or something. One of those. Probably thinking of old stats.
It's machine guns. Any type of machine gun artillery has a malice against assault units, I think.
Yeah.
In the case of the little bombard, that unit is no longer available in the mod.
Oh yeah. It was available for a while under the Habsburgs, I remember, during their last phase. Right out of the foundry. Rommel leaving his defenses open. That's not good. Took him a while to register that, I think.
Yep.
Portugal always the first one to get to Imperial Age. Always.
Sick.
Well, at least usually. That was that time in the league I had the problem with the USA, but don't want to go too much into that one. That was a pretty messed up one. I wonder in this phase if once he gets his excessive taxation, large agriculture, and deforestation, if he waits a little bit longer, if he could actually get Great War Age around pretty soon. Because it seems like Rommel's score is not that great right now, and Sask, not the best, doing the best right now, so maybe at some point he might actually be able to get that. I'm not sure if the match will last that long, but totally something they could do if he wanted to draw it out.
Has lost too many villagers. He won't be able to recover in time.
It's always a challenge trying to survive against a Great War Age opponent while you're still in the Imperial Age. The only thing that you got the advantage of is you're making more units to train quicker. But once again, enough field barracks with the soldiers, then you kind of run into a serious problem with that.
That's something that's fixed for the next patch. The soldier had the tag problem that didn't allow it to train faster.
So what did they do with the soldier stats?
Nothing. They only lacked an internal infantry tag. So technologies such as fencing school and standing army did not affect them, but they will affect them.
Oh, so they weren't
From
affected by him before?
Yeah.
Oh,
But in the next patch they will.
Oh, I didn't know why they just trained so slow. I thought that was intentional. Like, oh, you can get this expensive World War I unit and wait for 2 hours for the thing to come out when everything else comes out instantly. Yeah. That's good. At least it feels like Great War just got more initial value then, right up front.
The bug also implied that they were not being affected by arsenal technologies or any type of combat technology that affected all infantry. Now they will be.
Yeah, that's good. That definitely means Civs with a lot of infantry combat cards like Danish and stuff are going to have really good soldiers to work with.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, Danish would actually have some pretty nasty soldiers since they get like double advanced arsenal pretty
Double
much
arsenal.
on theirs.
Also the Americans with all the company technologies.
Oh yeah, Colt firearms. both Colt the technology from Samuel Colt himself and then the Colt company. Yeah, United States sort of breaks Great Warrior in many ways, you know, and then they have the most spammable tank in the game because it has one less pop being artillery. Armored cars go down to like 2 pop, and then tanks go down to I think like 3 pop or 4 pop. I think there was like a game when I was like going native Aboriginal Australia, and I won out against Hishay just spamming tanks, and he said, "How can you even do that? Just spam tanks and win?" And I'm like, yeah, you can sort of do that. This was before the anti-tank rifle for the soldiers was a thing, so he couldn't just counter him with soldiers. He was kind of toast at that point. Because I could just roll the tanks in wherever I want to, blow up a bunch of stuff, and slowly spray them down with the machine guns and the crush attack on the cannons. The thing that made the Australian cannons pretty dangerous is the fact that they had the 30%. They had the perpetual motion to help them move a lot faster with one of the Aboriginal politicians in the Imperial Age.
I don't remember about that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people go with perpetual motion usually when they're going Aboriginal Australia. The possum cloak usually is a lot better because of its nice HP boost to your units. Just like if anyone actually got Josephites, like I doubt anyone ever got that before. They just go with Henry Parks and get his boost to the Spontours, the Militia, and the Riflemen. Because that's much more interesting for combat. Looks like the end of that team. Yep, Rommel resigned.
A while.
How much res did Rommel even have? Yeah, 67 food, 40 coin. Looks like a defeat to me. Got all these players in Imperial Age, and Rommel was stuck in the Third Age. It's like a Rommel situation.
Kinda weird to see that happen with Romania.
Yeah, I mean, you would think Romania would have one of the easier age-up times, because by the time you get all those techs, your next age-up is so much cheaper, sometimes even by half or more. Depending on how you want to divvy it out. What I like to do is I like to go Industrial Age without too many techs if it's a big team game, and then just get them all at the end. So the Imperial Age is like only almost as expensive as an Industrial Age, basically. And then at that point, a lot of the older techs you haven't gone yet will be cheaper.
Well, that was a fun game.
Yeah, I think that was a much fairer fight, I think, than the one we saw before.
With the Japanese, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm off to my bed. Good night.
Good night.
See ya.
Yep, see ya. See you next Thursday. That was a fun night, wasn't it? Something a bit different. Normally we just do Definitive Edition, but today we actually got some Wars of Liberty games in live. You know, something I hope to do in the coming weeks as well. You know, maybe do half and half. Do a day of DE, do a day of Wars of Liberty, do a day of DE, do a day of Wars of Liberty. Because, you know, if I try to just focus on one by itself, you're going to sit there all day and night because there's so many games to cover. So you kind of have to split it between the two in a stream format so you can get more done in the end. You know, so hopefully you enjoyed today's stream. It was great that we not only had a guest with us today, but a surprise guest too. One of the developers, JT Masson, joined us. Maybe he'd be willing to come back on Thursday as well with me and Stefan, so that way we could have 3 casters working together on these games. It certainly leads to a lot more discussion, I think, the more people we have with us. If you think you'd like to join with me too, feel free to hit me up on that, and I could add you to the group that me and Stefan and Maston I created last second. We could add you in as well, and we could do it in like a big group discussion and go through these. But anyways, I think that's it for this stream. Save some more of those recordings for next week. See you on the next one. Signing off now.